to go with another reaction video. You feel me? We're going 10 for 10 this week. I'm not stopping until you're satisfied and I'm satisfied. Today we got 4 reaction videos for you guys, man. 4 reaction videos for you guys. Top 20 mysteries you've never heard of, man. Top 20 mysteries that I've never heard of. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I probably never heard of these. You probably haven't either because they put them in this. But if you have, let me know in the comments, man. Before we get into this video, hope you're having a blessed day. Staying on top of your grind. Last but not least, get into that bag. Go get that bag. 449 subscribers, man. 449 subscribers. Give me to 450 by the end of the week. I'm going to be 100% honest. 450 was my goal for the end of this month. But you guys are amazing. You guys, I'm blessed to have you guys as subscribers. Thank you guys. You guys are amazing. And let's get it. Let's be champions today, man. Let's get it. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Like
alien's
everything.
body
Like
and buried him at the cemetery and gave him a Christian burial.
Welcome to Watch
crazy.
Mojo, and today we're counting down our
It's
picks for the top 20
10:30
mysteries you've
in the
never
morning.
heard of.
The
Monday.
tracks even extend to
These are all dropping
rooftops
today,
and
all
a
4 of these
garden
videos.
secluded behind walls 14 feet high.
And all the indications are that it goes back to the end of the last ice age and is probably around 11 to 12,000 years old.
Two jockeys were walking their horses along the beach and they saw what looked to be a body of a man.
For this list, we're looking at the craziest and most obscure unsolved mysteries.
Okay.
Think you know some crazier mysteries that we've never heard of? Let us
Okay.
know in the comments below. Number 20, the Toynbee Tiles. Boston, Kansas City, Rio de Janeiro,
Toynbee
Buenos
Tiles.
Aires. What do all of these locations have in common? In all of these cities and many more, embedded in
that.
seemingly random streets, are linoleum tiles containing cryptic messages about death.
New York, DC, Boston, the person who made them was a complete mystery.
The phrase resurrect dead on planet Jupiter is present on many of the tiles, as well as references to Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey.
Okay.
A couple of different theories have been put forth as to the identity of the tiler, including a 2011 documentary, but no proof or admission from the tiler has confirmed
Looks like
any of them.
that shit been
If it
broken right there
were
a
one
little bit.
person, why go through the trouble of traveling around the world? Number 19, the Hornet Spooklight.
It seems
The
a lot
Hornet
higher than the
Spooklight.
old days, and it's behind us. We actually came down pretty far into it, but it seems to be back there. We had a neighbor stop by and says it doesn't even live here.
What's in a name? Well, judging by the spooky phenomena that occurs in the Devil's Promenade west of Hornet, Missouri, sometimes a lot. Also known as the Hollis Light, the Spook Light is a ball or group of lights that's been sighted numerous times around the border between Missouri and Oklahoma.
And then some nights they're spectacular and they're frightening.
People have proposed explanations that range from headlights on Route 66
Give me 1
to
second.
atmospheric
My fault.
gases
Thought someone
to
was here
the
for a
spirits of
second.
two
No one's here,
Quapaw
so
lovers who ran away
let's keep
together.
this going, man.
Oh yeah, and aliens, obviously. Over the years, a few investigators have laid out evidence for the headlights explanation,
69.
but there are still true believers who think there must be something more to the tale.
We believe it's
Extraterrestrial.
likely that any of the headlights from any cars coming all the way down this long hill to this point could be the ambience of the spook light.
Number 18, the Overtoun Bridge. Don't bring your dogs near this next mystery. The Overtoun Bridge in Scotland is a seemingly normal bridge like any other, except for the staggering amount of dogs that have jumped to their deaths from the structure.
They just looked
up and let go right over the bridge.
Local tabloids have estimated that around 600 dogs have leaped off this bridge.
That's crazy.
Seemingly for no reason.
I started
But there
shouting
obviously
to
is a reason.
David, Sophie's jumped off the bridge, she's jumped off the bridge. It just happened so fast, seconds.
Residents tell of their dogs pausing on the bridge as if possessed before unexpectedly jumping. Some dogs have reportedly jumped twice. Paranormal
crazy.
theories abound, including spirits and ghosts, while the most scientific explanation is that the dogs are smelling wildlife below.
They've no concept of what's on the other side. They can't see the drop.
But if that's the case, why this bridge in particular?
You feel me?
Number 17, the Devil's
No
Footprints.
other dogs would do
One
that.
winter morning in
Anywhere else.
1855, residents
jumping
of
off
Devon,
bridges?
England,
No.
woke to find an eerie phenomenon. Hoof prints, some 4 inches long, were found across 40 to 100 miles of snow, as well as on roofs, walls, and even in drain pipes. Residents might have been able to write the markings off
That's
as belonging
crazy.
to a donkey or another animal, except
Bone
they
on the
appeared in a
walls.
variety of unreachable places. Even stranger, they were all in a single line instead of alternating left and right. No animal walks in such a unique way. To
feel
this
me?
day, no satisfactory theory exists, but residents think it was Satan himself.
That's
Number
crazy.
16, the disappearance of Benjamin
been, though.
Bathurst.
Who
Try
knows?
rationalizing this one. Benjamin Bathurst was a British diplomat in the 19th century. He was traveling through Germany in November 1809 with his aide Herr Krause when something strange happened. They were walking to the carriage together, but when Krause got in, he suddenly couldn't find Bathurst. Investigations uncovered his valuable fur coat in an outhouse and pantaloons miles away in the woods. His wife spent a fortune trying to find him, but to
That's
no
crazy.
avail. It's thought
He
he was
just
murdered and a
disappeared.
possible skeleton was found many years later. Bathurst was known to carry pistols. How could no one have seen or heard him being taken?
Fact.
Number 15,
For
the
me?
Phantom Barber. There was more to worry about than World War II in the small town of Pascagoula, Mississippi in 1942. A mysterious person dressed in white began.
Nah, but on some real shit, people really just get up and disappear like that. How? I don't know. But it happens. Shit is
sneaking
crazy.
into homes and cutting off locks of people's hair in the middle of the night. This phantom seemed
Edward
to prefer blonde hair,
Scissorhands.
and he was rarely seen in the act. Though his intrusions were usually non-violent, police think he used chloroform to knock out a victim. And on one occasion, he beat a couple unconscious with an iron bar. A suspect was later arrested and then
Chloroform?
released. No definitive
It's
identity
crazy.
has ever been given for this ghastly figure.
Phantom Barber.
Number 14, the Pollock twins. Sisters Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock were 11 and 6 years old, respectively, when they were killed in a car accident. The devastated parents decided to have another child and gave birth to twins, Jillian and Jennifer. These twins shared so many similarities with the deceased sisters, including birthmarks,
Jillian and
behaviors, and
Jennifer.
preferences, as well as memories from before the accident, that they seemed to be perfect reincarnations. Many simply dismissed the case as a hoax, but both parents were convinced that these twins were their original daughters. The case is often touted as evidence of true resurrection. Number 13, sleeping sickness.
That's crazy.
This is a scary one. A sickness began sweeping through the world shortly after World War I, and
So
it would become so
clones,
widespread it became an epidemic. It
aliens.
was called lethargic encephalitis,
It's all
and
real,
it
bro.
put people in a sort of coma where they were conscious but unable to speak or move, like living statues. Close to 1 million people died, and millions more were helplessly trapped in their bodies. No scientist to this day can explain what this sickness was or how it spread, and it is one of the biggest medical mysteries in history. Number 12,
Some
the
shit like
Aurora
COVID.
incident. We've all heard of Roswell, but have you heard of the alien shipwreck in Aurora, Texas?
Nope.
In 1897, an airship that looked like a cigar allegedly collided with a windmill and exploded. People reported seeing a non-human pilot and papers with an unrecognizable language that resembled hieroglyphics. The pilot was supposedly buried, but the grave marker disappeared. The cemetery declined a
What do you mean the
request from the
grave
Mutual
marker
UFO Network
disappeared?
to exhume the site.
The dear Lord is powerful enough that if he wanted to create another universe and other people, he could have done it.
Conspiracy theorists
That's
believe the
facts.
wreckage was confiscated by the military, so all that's left are accounts and memories. Was this a misconstrued event or a real alien shipwreck? Number 11, the Big Grey Man.
What do y'all
The
think,
Big Grey
man?
Man, known as
I think it was a
Amfer
real
Liamur in
shipwreck.
Scottish Gaelic, is not actually a man. It's said to be a creature or spirit living in the isolated Cairngorms Mountains in Scotland. Various accounts of the creature tell of a tall specter shrouded in mist that inflicts terrible fear and panic in the victims. Nearly all accounts report footsteps following them in the gravel before they encounter the entity.
You gonna help me up or what?
Okay.
Another explanation that's been proposed
What the
is that it's a
hell?
Brocken specter, where the user's shadow is enlarged on a cloud bank. We sure hope so. Number 10, the Flannan Isles Lighthouse. In December of 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers mysteriously vanished without a trace on the uninhabited island of Eilean Mor. When people went to check on them, they found a spare oilskin and unmade beds, suggesting something suddenly aroused them from their sleep. The mechanical clocks had not been wound for some time either. No evidence of foul play was found,
Lighthouse?
and the bodies were never seen again.
Bro,
The
that shit's
leading
probably
theory is that
haunted.
waves pulled them
An
into the Atlantic Ocean,
uninhabitable
but
place.
it's forbidden to leave the lighthouse unmanned. So
feel me?
why did they all venture outside? And why did one leave his oilskin suit? It may forever be a mystery. Number 9. The Dancing Plague
Probably
of
shut that shit down
1518.
right after the
In
fucking
1518,
fourth or
in the
fifth
Holy
version.
Roman Empire, the city of Strasbourg was reportedly struck with one of the strangest
what I would've
plagues
did. I
in
would've shut that
history,
shit down.
an inability to stop dancing. What started with one woman busting some moves somehow turned into mass hysteria that lasted for days. Residents found themselves unable to stop, and some sources report that many danced themselves to death. To this day, no one
They
knows
dance
what really
themselves to
happened.
death.
Some believe the residents had ingested ergot, a hallucinogenic fungi, while others point to stress-induced hysteria. Oddly enough, this plague also reportedly occurred in Switzerland, Holland, and Germany, though not to the same extent. Number 8. Taman Shud. This is the sort of puzzle that keeps you up at night. In 1948, an
That's
unidentified dead body washed
Dancing to
ashore
death
in
is
South
crazy.
Australia. What ensued was a wild scavenger hunt
Beyond
with dead
wild.
ends everywhere. In the man's pocket was a torn piece of paper that read Taman Shud, which is Persian for finish.
Nope, we
The
watched
paper
this.
led them to the book it was
I
torn
actually
from,
seen
the
this one.
Hubayat of Omar Khayyam, along with a phone number and cryptic message that has yet to be decoded.
It was 1948, 49, so they were convinced perhaps he was a communist spy or a Russian spy. But no one ever came forward to claim this man.
The number was of a local nurse who denied knowing the dead man. Investigators discovered a discarded suitcase that they believe belonged to the body, but it had a fake name. One of Australia's biggest mysteries is still an
And a
open
fake
case.
name inside
Even though
of
that
suitcase.
picture that we saw was widely distributed around the world, his fingerprints were sent to Scotland Yard, the FBI. Nobody knew who this guy was.
Number 7. Bimini Road. This strange rock formation is located in the Bahamas. The underwater path stretches for exactly half a mile before ending abruptly. The limestone blocks seem to have been precisely cut and stacked, leading some to claim that it must have been human-made.
And all the indications are that it goes back to the end of the last ice age and is probably around 11 to 12,000 years old.
What makes this even stranger is that some 30 years before divers discovered it, modern prophet Edgar Cayce said that the road leading to the lost city of Atlantis was near Bimini. Geologists argue that this is a naturally occurring formation, but there are still believers who argue that it must have been built by an ancient civilization. Number 6. The disappearance of the USS Cyclops. It's one thing when a small dinghy vanishes, but how does the largest ship in the Navy suddenly disappear?
Crazy.
That's what happened in 1918 when the
Just
USS
disappeared.
Cyclops was making a trip to Baltimore. The last message sent from the ship is simple, quote, "Weather fair, all well." Normally, when ships disappear, some remnant or flotsam of the vessel washes ashore, but nothing whatsoever has been found of the Cyclops. Even more eerily, it vanished within the infamous Bermuda Triangle. No enemy ships were ever reported in the region. The Navy has called it one of the most confusing mysteries in its history. Number 5. The Ghost Blimp. Picture it. 1942 off the coast of
Bermuda
California.
Triangle.
2 U.S.
Something
Navy
there that
pilots
nobody
command the
knows
Navy's
is a force.
L-8 blimp in search of Japanese submarines in waters not so far from San Francisco.
There were known to be Japanese submarines operating off the coast. There had been an attack on an oil refinery down near Santa Monica, Los Angeles. There was a great fear that there would be more attacks.
They radio flight control about an oil slick on the water and are never heard from again. A few hours later, that very same L-8 blimp crashes into a cliff with no one on board.
Bro,
Everything
what?
in or about the craft was working normally, the throttles were idle, and more eerily, the parachutes and lifeboat were still on board. To this day, no one knows what happened, and the personnel involved were never found. Number 4. The Bay of Jars. Brazil's Guanabara Bay contains a lot of trash, but the trash that people cannot explain is the 200 or so Roman ceramic jars found submerged in an underwater field the size of 3 tennis courts. According to experts, these
It's actually
jars
a pretty
trace back
big
to the
field.
3rd century.
Not gonna
However,
lie.
European explorers didn't even reach Brazil until 1500, and the Romans themselves had little to no incentive to travel that far out. Thus, it's a complete mystery why their artifacts would be found there.
'cause our
Meanwhile,
history is
Brazil
all
closed
messed
off
up,
the area
man.
in 1983, so it's unlikely an
Our
answer
history is
will ever
probably
be found.
fabricated.
Number 3. The Voynich Manuscript. If you haven't heard of this one, strap in. The Voynich Manuscript is a mysterious 250-page book written in a completely unknown language, and containing odd, otherworldly sketches.
There are theories that the book might have been written in a kind of encoded Latin, or that an alien wrote it while being held captive in a monastery, or that Leonardo da Vinci wrote it as a child.
Its origin is unable to be fully traced, so no one knows who created it, let alone why, but carbon dating puts it in the early 15th century.
Cryptologists say the writing has all the characteristics of a real language, just one that no one's ever seen before. What makes it seem real is that in actual languages, letters and groups of letters appear with consistent frequencies, and the language in the Voynich Manuscript has patterns you wouldn't find from a random letter generator.
So far, no one has been able to decode the script it's written in, despite being worked on by professional code breakers from both World War I and World War II. What strange message lies inside this uncrackable book?
The truth is, after decades of dedicated study to try and solve the mystery, this strange book seems likely to remain one of our most enduring historical codes to crack.
Number 2, the Max Headroom hijack. In 1987, 2 television stations in Chicago were hijacked in perhaps the most surreal act of video piracy ever recorded.
It takes some pretty significant equipment, technical equipment, and some knowledge of broadcast frequencies, microwave frequencies, and a lot of power.
Both instances featured an unidentified man dressed as obscure TV personality Max Headroom dancing to distorted audio. The second video, significantly longer, saw the man rambling incoherently in a distorted voice and being swatted on the behind by an off-screen accomplice.
Because he's a freaking nerd. I think I'm better Chips Worsty working with oh, Jesus.
I bet you that was someone that
The segments lasted no more than a couple of minutes, but have gone down as among the most notorious incidents in television history. No one has ever identified who pulled it off or even why. We can only hope someone comes forward after all this time to put an end to this mystery.
My brother is wearing the other one, but it's dirty. It's got footprints on it.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Post notifications.
Number 1, the Green Children of Woolpit. According to legend, in the 12th century, 2 children were found in the village of Woolpit, England. Their skin was green, they spoke gibberish, and they only ate broad beans. Eventually, they learned to eat normal food and speak English, and they claimed they were from a different world where there was no sun. The boy soon died of a mysterious illness, but the girl lived on. A few accounts from around the same time reference the tale. One leading theory proposes that the children were lost and malnourished Flemish immigrants from another town in Suffolk. Others claim they were extraterrestrials, or from inside the Earth itself. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from one.
I don't know none of them. But that video is over, man. Y'all let me know how y'all like that. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Uni out.